Hello, the Math Dog here. So in this video I look at multiplying and dividing positive negative integers. I will briefly discuss in a moment what an integer is versus say a whole number and a natural number. So I will talk about that. I believe it would be first helpful to watch my video on adding, subtracting positive and negative numbers. And in this video I'm going to lay out the rules for multiplying and dividing positive negative integers, and then I will give examples as to why these rules are as they are. So let's get started. I'm going to start by talking about integers. Recall that the integers are the set of positive and negative whole numbers. So let's look at some simple sets of numbers. We have first, the smallest set of numbers is the natural numbers. They're often called the counting numbers, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc., etc. on up. The whole numbers are simply the natural numbers plus you add 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you have the integers, which are your whole numbers, plus the opposite of each of the whole numbers. Well, the opposite of 0 is 0, but the opposite of 1 is -1. The opposite of 2 is -2. The opposite of 3 is -3. So the integers are your positive and negative whole numbers. So notice here that all natural numbers are whole numbers. So we can write this using a Venn diagram. All natural numbers are contained in the whole numbers. We say they're a subset of the whole numbers. And notice all the whole numbers are a subset or are contained inside the integers. So we can write the natural numbers are a subset of the whole numbers, which are a subset of the integers, and this sideways U means quote subset of unquote. So let's look at now multiplying positive and negative numbers. Specifically in our case we're looking at integers, positive and negative integers. So what I've done here is I've done some multiplication problems where I'm decreasing the number on the left by 1 every time. So 5 times 3 is 15, 4 times 3 is 12. Notice each time I'm subtracting 3. 3 times 3 is 9, 2 times 3 is 6, 1 times 3 is 3, 0 times 3 is 0. So following this progression, the next number has to be -3. -1 times 3 is -3. Take away 3 from -3, and again, this is where you need to know about your adding, subtracting, positive, negative numbers. You have all negatives, you have more negatives. So -2 times 3 must be -6, or -3 minus 3 is -6. -6 minus 3 then is -9, and -3 times 3 is -9. So notice here that a negative in the last cases, these three cases here, negative times positive gives you a negative. Parentheses mean multiplication. Okay, so then also the order in which you multiply is not important. So 5 times 3 is 15, 3 times 5 is also 15. This symbol here means implies. Okay, so the order that you multiply is not important. 4 times 3 is 12, 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 3 is 9, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3, 3 times 1 is 3. 0 times 3 is 0, 3 times 0 is 0. -1 times 3 is -3, so 3 times -1 is -3. -2 times 3 is -6, 3 times -2 is -6. -3 times 3 is -9, 3 times -3 is 9. So here we're trying to show right here that a positive times a negative is a negative for these last three examples here. So in general, when you're multiplying positive and negative numbers, a negative times positive is going to be a negative. And a positive times negative is also a negative. Now this differs from addition subtraction. So if I had, say, -6 plus 3 Well, let's look at a couple here. Let's actually do 6 plus negative 3. So in the case of addition subtraction, I have opposite signs, so I subtract. 6 minus 3 is 3, but I have more positives than negatives, so my answer is 3. When I multiply 6 times negative 3, a positive times negative is a negative, so that's going to be negative 18. Okay? So be sure to make sure that you can make the distinction between how to handle addition, subtraction, and multiplication, division, and we will talk about that further in this video. So now let's look at another example. Here in the left column I have negative 3, and here I'm decreasing by 1 every time. So here I have negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. From the previous page we know this. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Negative 3 times 0 is 0. Now notice this time, instead of subtracting 3 every time, I'm actually adding 3. For example, negative 9 plus 3 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Continuing the pattern then, I'm adding 3. That's got to be 3, 6, 9, 12. So notice the negative times a negative. Negative 3 times a negative 1 is 3. Negative 3 times a negative 2 is 6. Negative 3 times 3, negative 3 is 9. Negative 3 times a negative 4 is 12. So that suggests that for these last 4 examples here, a negative times a negative gives me a positive. Okay? So then if we swap the numbers, which you're allowed to do in multiplication, so negative 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times negative 3, is negative 12. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Negative 3 times 0 is 0. 0 times negative 3 is 0. Negative 3 times negative 1 is 3. Negative 1 times negative 3 is 3. Negative 3 times negative 2 is 6. Negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. So then I have negative 3 times negative 4 is 12, and negative 4 times negative 3 is 12. So as I showed here, a negative times a negative is going to be a positive. Again, this is different than addition subtraction. Let's take example here, negative 3 plus negative 4. When you have all negatives, when you have all negatives in an addition problem, you get more negatives. This is negative 7. But if I take negative 3 times negative 4, the negative times negative is a positive, that's positive 12. So now let's summarize these rules, okay, for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and we'll get into division, which is just like multiplication. So signs opposite. When you're multiplying, you get a negative. So negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. When the signs are the same, then it's going to be positive. 5 times 7, both positive numbers, you get 35. Negative 8 times a negative 6, and the dot here means multiplication. Okay, it means multiply. We'd like to use that a lot instead of an x, because an x is an unknown or variable, often in algebra, and get confused with what's a multiplication sign and what's an x. Okay, so addition, subtraction now. Let's review that. If the numbers are all positive, gives you more positives. So 5 plus 6 is 11, 7 plus 12 is 19. When the numbers are all negative, you get more negatives. So negative 16 minus 10 is the same as negative 16 plus the negative of 10. You get more negatives when you have negatives added together, so that's negative 26. Negative 5 plus negative 7, all negatives, that's negative 12. Then when you have adding, subtracting, and you have different signs on the numbers, this is what we did. If one number is positive and the other number is negative, 1. Subtract the positive value of both numbers. then 2, the sign of the answer is the same sign as the number that is furthest from 0 on the number line. If they're both the same distance from 0, you're going to get 0. So here's some examples. -3 plus 7. So those are different signs. This is negative, this is positive. I take the difference or subtract the positive values of both numbers. So that's 7 minus 3, which is 4. But I have more positives than negatives, so my answer is positive 4, or 4. -13 plus 9, I have opposite signs, so I subtract. So 13, take the positive value of both numbers. 13 minus 9 is 4. I have more negatives than positives, so my answer is -4. So 9 minus 23, I'm going to change that to 9 plus -23. Well, these are opposite signs, so I take 23 minus 9, which is 14. I have more negatives. -23 is further from 0 on a number line than 9, so my answer is going to be negative. So it's going to be -14. Next question. Those are both double negative, makes it positive. So this is -8 plus 15. So 15 minus 8, take the positive value of both numbers, is 7. I have more positives than negatives, so my final answer is 7. And the last question, -12 plus 12, take the difference of the two positives. 12 minus 12 is 0. So my answer here is just going to be 0. You could write -0, +0, but usually we just write 0. 0 is the one number where the positive and negative values is in fact equal. Okay, so rules for division are the same as for multiplication. So let's take a quick look at this. So -8, this again means -8 times 5. Parentheses like this means multiplication. You could put a little dot in there for multiplication. You don't have to though. So -8 times 5 is -40. This implies then that -40 divided by 5 is -8. -10 times -4 equals 40 implies that 40 divided by -4 is -10. So here notice a negative divided by a positive is a negative. That's the same as for multiplication. Negative times positive is a negative. Here this implies that a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Okay, same for multiplication. Positive times negative is negative. So if I have 9 times -6 is -54, this implies -54 divided by -6 is 9. So this implies that a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and that's the same for multiplication. Negative times a negative is positive. And the last, positive 11 times positive 12 is 132. This implies 132 divided by 12 is 11. So this implies a positive divided by a positive is a positive, and that's the same for multiplication. Positive times positive is positive. So here's the rules for division, which are the same as for multiplication. A positive times positive is a positive. A positive divided by negative is a negative. A negative divided by positive is a negative. And a negative divided by negative is a positive. Okay, I want you to stop the video. I want you to copy these 5 problems onto a sheet of paper and work them. After you've gone through all 5 problems, then restart the video to check your answers. Okay, so let's go through these problems. Number 1, -3 times -5. You're multiplying all negatives, so you get a positive. So this is positive 15. So notice I've mixed it up a little here. So number 2, -4 minus 5, that's -4 plus -5. Those are all negatives, so you get more negatives, so that's -9. 3, a positive times a negative is a negative, so this is going to be -56. Number 4, I'm going to change that to a plus. So I have -15 plus 6. Opposite signs subtract. 15 minus 6 is 9. So -15 is further from 0 and 6, so my answer is negative, so it's -9. The last question, negative times positive is negative, so 4 times 8 is 32, so 40 times 8 is 320, so the answer is -320. So again, stop the video, copy these problems onto a sheet of paper, do the 5 problems, then restart the video to check your answers. Alright, let's go over these answers here. So number 1, -15 plus 2. Those are opposite signs I'm adding, so I take 15 minus 2, which is 13. Negative 15 is further from 0 than 2, so my answer is negative, so it's negative 13. Number 2, a negative divided by positive is a negative. 18 divided by 2 is 9, so my answer is negative 9. Number 3, 7 times negative 9. Well, positive times negative is negative. 7 times 9 is 63. And number 4, 7 minus 9. That's the same as 7 plus negative 9. So I have more negatives than positives here. So my answer is going to be negative. 9 minus 7 is 2, so my answer is negative 2. And finally, a negative times negative is a positive. 25 times 8 is going to be 200. So my answer is 200. If you found this video informative and you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, The Math Dog. You may share the content of this video with others. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.